My name is Kayla Parkin, and today I will be doing my capstone presentation for our student coaching certification. Just to talk a little bit about the agenda today and to introduce myself, my name is Kayla. I work as a youth program specialist in Massachusetts. Some of my responsibilities include one-on-one job coaching sessions, as well as classroom workshops and employer events. Today, for our presentation for my capstone, just want to talk about my key takeaways from this wonderful program, how I am shaping my new framework of coaching as a new coach who now has this new professional development opportunity, the resources I've taken away from the class, and also the resources that I have at my own organization, some of my goals for the future, and then just some wrap up to some loose ends for the program. So just to start, my first takeaway was from Module 3. This was one that really struck home for the program that I'm involved in, and that's overcoming barriers. I personally work with students in high priority, low resource schools and communities, and I found that this module really talked about the challenges that our students face, especially ones that you wouldn't even think of, like the ones I've put here, like time commitment. A lot of my students do school all day and night, and oftentimes don't have time for a job, but have those financial barriers of needing to support a family or friends in a way that they need a job. Some other things that I had put on here were academic barriers. I work also with a lot of students who have academic and neurological disabilities, and that is definitely a barrier when looking for jobs. One thing that also that I really wanted to take away from this module was the growth mindset versus fixed mindset, sort of figuring out their comfort zones and where they can grow and where they feel like they're getting stuck and they're getting stopped in their own way. I definitely wanted to highlight this quote down at the bottom from the module in sort of navigating the complexities of the modern workforce. I work for Mass Hire Workforce Board, where really our mission and our drive is to navigate the complexities of the workforce board in Massachusetts. So I felt really empowered by being able to put some names and titles to the things my students go through. For takeaway 2, this is something that I actually have been able to apply specifically in my job coaching sessions and also in other trainings, and that's the tangible versus intangible aspects of my coaching styles. I have never been able to put a word to this, and talking about sort of the social capital and the cultural capital and all the things that are important to networking for a job, I really found that this aspect of the module in module 3 as well was super helpful. So something I kind of highlighted here was giving my students something tangible from a job coaching session, like a resume or a job application or interview guide, something that they can physically take away from the session, as well as intangible factors like professionalism or confidence in networking to go into their local stores to ask for jobs or ask for job shadowing experience. I think that social capital is imperative for teenagers because of the stigma around teenager social skills, especially in the new age of technology. And so if I can give students an intangible idea of why social capital is important, I know that I've succeeded. And again, just another resource quote down at the bottom to show that I was taking specifically from the module throughout my job coaching session. Takeaway, and again, this is another one that I have been able to really integrate into my coaching style and coaching sessions. This is from module 2, so we're kind of going in a little bit of opposite order, but questions for students. I found that this part of the program and the training course was actually something that wasn't just showing me what I should do, but how I should do it. So building relationship and morale in my job coaching sessions by getting personal and being able to keep the flow of the job coaching sessions going. Some important questions that I use in my sessions are, how can I support you? How can I better support you? What progress have you made since our last session? It shows that my main goal is growth for myself, and my main goal is to show that my students are growing as well. And so being able to have, I know our professor had talked a little bit about keeping the questions up behind my computer or up at my desk. That is something I have definitely integrated, of writing down the important questions to develop effective communication with students, especially ones that are coming with a lot of anxieties about the job market right now. And so I really appreciated this physical way that I could be present for my students in my sessions. So just wanted to talk a little bit about the ways that I'm adapting my coaching techniques and the way that they have changed. So I have always been super communicative with my students, but I definitely want to be more patient by empowering them to have control over their job hunt. So this was a quote I had taken from our presentation: start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. This is also a great way that I have been able to infiltrate some of my trauma-informed facilitation skills of having control and choice over your session, over your job hunt, about what success looks like to them. Another way, just to reconnect with Module 3's Overcoming Barriers section, of just strong mindsets, positive beliefs, keeping things lighthearted in a time where things are super heavy right now, and to give students the encouragement to do the independent work and show that they are able to be successful. Lastly, the questions, they're just allowing me for a good foundation for each job coaching session, and to make sure that each job coaching session is equal in the way that I am providing my resources, but individual in the way that students have been responding to those questions. It's giving me continued patience for the way that my job coaching sessions have been able to run. So this is the way that I'm infiltrating my key takeaways as actual adapted techniques. So just to wrap up some things that I've taken from this part one of my capstone presentation is, I am going to continue to reflect. And this is also something that was talked about in the startup kit through visual and goal setting, like skill building. And that's just, the journey is ongoing and reflection is ongoing. So as my students change and adapt, I want my systems and my sessions and myself to change and adapt as well. So next I'm going to talk about coaching framework, and I kind of put the mission or the goal of coaching framework as just, it empowers you to synthesize your learning and self-discovery into your personal coaching framework. So when I was doing this section, I was like, what am I going to talk about? What is my framework? And so I decided to give it a specific name to something that I feel like I'll be able to reference throughout my career as a job coach. And that is consistent communication coaching. So the CCC framework, I'm going to trademark that. I want to make sure that I'm having individualized communication. So kind of as I discussed before, using those questions so that for module 2, so that I can have a good framework, but really individualize for whatever student comes my way. I'm also really into continued check-ins on students. So after a couple weeks gone by, especially because I meet with many, many students during the school year, just a quick email or a quick text that says, how's your job hunt going? What can I do? Do you want me to send you more links? Just that continued check-in, so that they are used to continual feedback from any sort of adult in their life or any sort of supervisor they might have in their real world. Also, giving my students the resource to succeed both individually and together. So you could see some of my examples of communication that I have used with my students. So you could see I have a email that goes out that says Five Below is actively hiring, giving my students the resources to succeed. If you need anything, reach out to me. Also, you can see my continued check-ins with the students, with this student Mariah, who has had some struggles with finding a part-time job that she needs pretty urgently. And so just this continued check-in of, have you heard anything back? Would you like more job applications for me? And then another, just promoting independence from this email at the bottom, which is like, here is this guide that you can succeed on your own. You don't need me to hold your hand, but I'm here for you if you have any questions and if you need to. That consistent communication coaching really shows the students that they can trust that I will always be there for their next step in their job hunt. Just a little bit personal here. Job coaching is a resource I would have loved to have as a teenager. I can remember specifically turning 16 and going door to door at my local outlet mall, no resume in hand, just basically begging for anybody to hire me. So I really think that giving students a safe adult outside of the classroom space to give them tangible resources that they will continue to use way into their adulthood is really important. You can see some of the feedback that I've received from my students, which honestly really keeps me going and really helps me remember my why. And it just shows that these pieces of feedback show that they need patience and they need support and they just need help in this next spot because there are so many variables in the job coaching and job hunting space. Just to give you a little insight on my coaching demographics in my town, in my two schools, from my organization works with 6 schools and I am placed into 2 of them. And here are some of just the demographics and the backgrounds that we have collected through our Salesforce data system on the gender identity of our students, on the racial identity, as well as some of the other aspects and barriers that our students go through with being low-income backgrounds, as well as multilingual speakers and immigrant households. So this is also really a part of my why and why the job coaching is so important to me. So just to talk a little bit about coaching style, sort of to kind of wind down from everything we've talked about. I've talked about my personal experience with job coaching and why I love it so much. And now I want to talk a little bit about how I'm infiltrating those key takeaways into this. And I would say from module 2, the coaching style of supportive and reflective are styles that I find to be most helpful and get the best results. So heavy on communication, leaving them encouraged and empowered to not only look for the jobs that they're hoping for and to look for the opportunities and resources out there, but feeling encouraged to reach back out to me, to know that the support is here, even if it's not face to face, and to also reflect on why strong emotions are okay, that this is a vulnerable thing to put your information out onto the internet, to get rejection. That is a really hard thing. So sort of the question that I got from the reflective coaching style is when you think about job applications, your interview next week, your rejection letters, how do you feel? And leave space for those strong emotions. There might be tears, there might be frustrations, there might be outbursts, and all of that is human and it's normal. So I try to just lead with supportive and reflective style of coaching, and you can see about the resource quote at the bottom from module 2 about how the common coaching styles can change and how they can adapt to the type of students you're supporting. Here's some of the resources and theories that I have really enjoyed during our time with the training program. The first one being the startup kit resources. I have loved reading through the questions in the interview prep kit. I have loved the vision board goal setting worksheet. I've used that multiple times in group classroom settings. Those are just great ways to not reinvent the wheel. If someone has put their time and effort into creating resources, that is what we are here for as a coaching community and as a community of professionals. I've also really appreciated to get a little personal that our professor is from Harvard and working in Harvard, and so which is very obviously close to my Massachusetts professional opportunities, and so that has also really helped keep the startup kit super close to home. Labor market data, we talked a little bit about labor market data in the first module of our program, and that continues to be a big resource for me when I'm learning to advise students for their careers and for their opportunities in the future. To get into a theories a bit, trait theory for Module 1 would be the one that I reference most in my job coaching sessions. Personality and strengths, especially for teenagers, can be ambiguous and can be a tumultuous thing to think about. Reflection is a big part of my job coaching sessions. So when students say, I really don't want to work with customers, I'm not going to send them applications that work highly with customers. I'll focus more on stocking. And that's just about your comfort level and your strengths and your personality. So I think as we get more into career exploration is when the other theories will come into play. But right now we're just talking about what do you like and dislike as a 15-year-old and where can I advise you to go next? Of course, I love to talk about what I enjoy most about job coaching, which I will say is most of the job. But my favorite is when a student comes to me and says, I have an interview next week or I have an interview tomorrow and I don't even know where to start. This most of the time is usually my second or third time meeting a student where we start to see results of interviews. So I've already gotten to know the baseline of them, and this is a part where I get to know them a little bit deeper, getting to know their personality. Even if it is the first time, getting students to talk and kind of relax and take deep breaths together is a really great way for me to get to know them on a more personal and a more like intimate level. Um, I love to hear students get more confident with practice. It has been so rewarding to see a student stumble their way through an answer, talk about the result of that, and then try it again and see just more confidence, more patience with themselves. I love talking about expectations. So, what are you going to wear? What time is it? How are you going to get there? Those are easy ways to ease the nerves because preparation is professional. And so knowing that they're already on their way to professionalism by these simple steps of preparing and practicing, it's really great. And of course, I love hyping them up. I love being able to be like, that was a great answer, or you're doing so, so well. You really see a student light up when they get good feedback like that. And honestly, you get good results in an interview. Students sometimes need just that foot in the door for an interview. So I would say that is the part I enjoy most, and those are the sessions that I find most rewarding as a coach. One of my strongest personal beliefs as we wrap up this capstone presentation is that it might even be a bias, but everyone should work in the service industry, whether that's retail, food, childcare, at least once in their life. I think that there's a level of patience and empathy that comes out of being put in an uncomfortable situation and getting yourself through it. I know at my time as a teenager working in food service and retail, I'm a big tipper. I love to give patience and compliments to the staff working at these places. And so, really, because of that bias and that strong belief, I talk really highly about the things that you can learn in these positions to try and get rid of the stigma for young kids who want to go straight into their career without having any work experience. Things like teamwork, customer service, product management, inventories. Those are all things that will get you great experience for your long-term goals. And so that's a big, strong belief of mine that I do notice comes out a lot when I hear students say, I don't want to work at a grocery store. That's weird. And I want to sort of reimagine and reanalyze what that thought and what their belief is in comparison to mine. Just to talk a little bit more about my organization for some personal resources and mentors, Mass Hire has been a great organization for me to have my first full-time job, especially one as sort of a case manager position. My organization members, specifically my supervisor Molly and my senior director Danielle, have been really integral into my comfort level as a coach. I will also say school staff in these high schools have been so supportive of me as a new professional, and it has been really great to be integrated into their school culture. Some other resources that have been super important to me are Mass 360 for career exploration, which is a Mass Hire online resource that has things like labor market data as well as surveys on your personality to see what your job journey might look like, it has been really easy for me as somebody not from Massachusetts to know about the resources through Maths 360. And my organization also has a YouTube channel that has video guides for students on interview prep and job applications, as well as resources like podcasts with senators and resources for employers and even myself. I am on there constantly, especially as a visual learner. I love to watch videos as a way to learn more, and I love to send videos out as a way to get personal without me being on Zoom for 8 hours every single day. So I would say these are my strongest personal resources and mentors that I have used outside of this program. And I'm excited to integrate my newly learned opportunities and resources from this program and this course into my personal data of job coaching. This has been a wonderful experience for me. This is actually my first taste of professional development as a young professional, and I have felt so lucky to get a chance to do a little bit of learning, get back into the classroom. I've accomplished self-study motivation. Being a self-study student was much harder than I thought it would be coming from college, where I was in lecture halls and classrooms, but I really found a way to motivate myself and stay organized, and I'm excited to take on more opportunities like that. I obviously have accomplished new knowledge and of resources and theories for job coaching as a new coach. I'm about to approach my 1 year as a high school job coach. And so having these opportunities and courses in my back pocket has been really helpful. I just want to thank you so much, Professor Natasha, for the opportunity to be in this course, for your knowledge on all things students. And I also want to thank you for listening to my presentation. And I hope that you got to learn a little bit about me and a little bit about this course this way. Thank you so much. And hope you have a great rest of your year.